And I was telling Mark, I probably take 2,000 to 3,000 photos in a game.
Holy cow.
Because it's
a lot of film.
I know. I'm swapping out those film rolls. It's crazy.
This is the Buffalo Community Podcast, all about the greatest small town in the USA, the people in it, and how it all works together. Here are your hosts, Tyler Reese and Mark Benzer.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to episode 404. Something like that with this. That's close. But we have with us Luke Edlund.
Yeah. Well, all the high schoolers call me Edlund.
Edlund.
Yeah.
Ed. Hey, Eddie.
Gotcha. So, familiar face, Luke Edlund, producer of the Buffalo Community Podcast. You see a lot of his work on Facebook with sports photography. And we thought, let's have Luke on as a guest because I think a lot of people really like what Luke is doing. So, tell us who you are a little bit, where you're from, if people haven't seen earlier episodes.
Sure, yeah. I mean, this is actually my second time on. Because you guys had me on before I started producing.
As a guest.
Yeah, as a guest.
Right.
Yeah.
I will tell the story on how we met.
Sure.
Later
go
on
for it.
after we're done there. So.
Yeah, so a little bit about me, how I came to Buffalo. My wife and I went to Crown College in St. Bonnie.
Crown, C-R-O-N.
That's right.
Oh, W-N.
Yeah, not Clown College, Crown College. Yeah. Despite what some people might say. But yeah, so we went to Crown College and we met there, got married, and we were looking for a place to kind of settle down in. Since we were both from up north, didn't really want to go back up north, wanted to stick around the cities area. And we would always drive through Buffalo on our way to Crown. So we hop on 25 off 94 and just go north or go south till we hit Crown. And we would always kind of come through here and drive past Buffalo Lake, which I later on learned is the less desirable lake in town.
Pretty to look at, though.
It is pretty to look at. And that's what we kind of just fell in love with. We would drive by, the road that's being constructed on right now, and we just fell in love. Okay, this is like kind of a sweet spot. You're close enough to the cities to do something. Go to a Vikings game. Go to a Twins game. Go into the city and grab something to eat.
Go to the theater.
Yes. But you're far enough away where you're not in the city, which was, intriguing to us. And so it became the place so we would, grab gas. It became the place so we would stop to eat, and then we would just stop for ice cream, and then we would stop because we wanted to stop. And ended up being the place that we, left for after we graduated from Crown, and been here ever since. So a little bit over 4 years now, coming up on 5, I think, something like that. We actually live in Monticello now, but we do a lot of our business in Buffalo. Well, you guys know how the beautiful housing market is right now.
Yeah.
We just needed somewhere where we could enjoy living. Our apartment that we were in was not great. We won't name it. But we got out of that and just, our goal is to buy back in Buffalo, and we're at a point where we want to do that.
What apartment did you live in? I'm just kidding.
Names.
Yeah.
So you've been doing photography, videography for a long time. It's been a passion. This is where I'm gonna insert the story on when we started the Buffalo Community Podcast. Is I got a message from you on Facebook. It's like, hey, do you want some help with that? You want some tips? And we're like, ooh, who's this guy? Never met you in my life. Yeah. And he came in, he said, oh, you should clean up the audio, you should clean up the video. Gave us some great tips. And then, I don't know, somewhere around episode 40 or so, I think is when we maybe earlier than that, interviewed you, and then you became our producer after that. You said, hey, can I produce this? I'm like, gosh, we must have been pretty awful if you just said, hey, let me do this.
And we were.
Yeah. Rightfully so. Luke was 100% correct in this. But it was just that different eye, different expertise, and then, kind of we've built another 100 episodes after this, 125 more, which is fantastic. And in the meantime, you've been doing some videography for sports. Tell Tell us a little bit more. That's why we're here. Tell us a little bit more about that, your little specialty, and kind of what you can bring to the community and what they could expect from you.
Yeah, so I started covering Buffalo sports during basketball season last year. And what an awesome time to start covering, because the basketball team did awesome throughout the year. They went to state. It was fun to go down and cover them at the Target Center. I covered a little bit in college. I just played around with my camera at different sporting events, and I love just the challenge of capturing that peak action. Right before they're going to kick the ball, right as they're catching. Seeing if I can get the facial expressions, the intensity, just the emotions of the sport. It's such a fun challenge, and being able to capture that forever. It's so impactful for the athletes. It's so impactful for the parents. They get to have that. And I look back on my athletic career. I played 4 years of football at Crown, multiple sport athlete back in high school, because I went to a small school where you could do that. And I don't have very many pictures of my athletic career. I don't have a lot to look back on. I remember bits and pieces, and there's moments that I kind of think back on, but I don't have a lot to go off of what it looked like. And so I love to be able to provide that for students, and it's been really fun to be able to partner with booster clubs and partner with teams on getting those moments captured so that they can have them for graduation parties, but then forever after that, they can show their kids, this is what I looked like in high school when I was playing my favorite sport.
Right. Well, you don't look like that anymore, Dad.
At one point.
Yeah, look how awesome I used to be.
Yeah. I'd like, we had a little conversation as we were kind of waiting to record, and I like, it's one thing for an amateur to bring a camera to a game and get some pictures, but the pictures don't necessarily tell the story of the game. And I think that's the difference between a professional and an amateur, of like, when you put photos of the Bison football game, you're getting a sense of the atmosphere, of the action, of what happened. You're getting a little bit of a summary of the game. So I think is that the challenges of that, and kind of talk about that a little bit.
That pick six video, awesome. You paired it with the audio. That was awesome. Of the
of the Osterbauer picking that off and running it back 104 yards. I mean, that was just luck, because I shoot probably 60% photo, maybe 40% video, probably 70-30. So most of what I'm doing is shooting photos, and then I'll turn the videos on, every once in a while to make sure I'm getting enough to do a little recap video. And I just happened to be recording on that play.
Oh, awesome.
So that was total luck, and it was so fun to be able to see him pick it off in the end zone and then run directly at me. The whole time, it was so fun.
It was almost like it was staged, is how good it was.
Yeah, it looked like a movie. It was pretty sweet. I mean, that's my intention. Like, how can I tell the story of the night? Where it's not just, my favorite shots are the ones where it's peak action. It's right at the moment, the crux of the movement. But also, what about the crowd? What about the student section? What about the halftime show, or the moments before? The last game I covered at Eastview was their Coaches versus Cancer night, and I got to capture some students holding up papers of people they had either lost to cancer or were fighting cancer that meant a lot to them, and you saw the emotion in their faces, and so you're telling the whole picture of the game. And I was telling Mark, I probably take 2,000 to 3,000 photos in a game.
Holy cow.
Because it's
a lot of film.
I know. I'm swapping out those film rolls. It's crazy. It's a lot. It is, and it takes a little bit to go through, but it's worth it to get those moments. So I'll take 2,000 to 3,000 pictures, and then I'll cull that, and I'll probably edit and deliver, 100 to 250 maybe. And then from those, I'll post on my social medias the ones that tell the story the best. So that's not all peak action, which are my favorite. A lot of them are, just the emotion of the night, the story of the night. How do I tell the full picture of the event?
Yeah. Say someone's got their student athlete. Are you for hire? Can they contact you and just say, hey, you know what? I think this would be a fantastic, gift for them, or memorabilia for their high school career. Can they contact? Can you specifically zone in on one student, or is it the entire team?
Yes, so both and. So booster clubs can hire me out to shoot kind of the story of the night, the entire event, trying to get photos of all the students. But then you can also hire me out as an individual parent or athlete to be able to capture your student through the game, and I'll get 25 to 50 photos of your student individually. Some of that's dependent on playing time. Yeah. There's only so many pictures on a bench they can take that are really interesting.
Sunflower
that's
seeds.
not to say that I won't get any, because there's always pregame, there's always postgame, there's a lot of different pieces that you can take, and I'll always get you that amount that you're looking for. But yes, so you can hire me out as an individual. You can capture that for your student to be able to take those moments and never forget them. So, and then if you want to do that, you can go to my website. That's edlundmedia.com. And then there's a booking page, so you can just look through my schedule and then see if that's, that game day is available, and book me out straight from there.
Yep. edlundmedia.com.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to shoot? And I'm really looking forward to your scuba gear next time you have to shoot a swimming meet.
That's the one sport I haven't shot yet. Rob LaPlante tells me that's one of the hardest sports to shoot, so I'm excited to get in there and try it out. But
the starting block's about the only thing you can do, and then looking up at the clock.
If you're lucky, you can get them as they're emerging, every so often, or getting as they're taking their breath.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so my favorite sport to shoot, it's probably obvious for me. I love shooting football. That's the sport I played and was my main sport, my favorite sport for most of my life. And so that's the one I feel like I'm probably best at, because I know what to look for. I know, where to point the camera, what I'm excited about, what's going to photo well. Mm-hmm. But some of my other favorite sports to shoot, one sport that I had no experience with outside of this year was lacrosse. And I had, barely even heard of the sport outside of those rich schools that play lacrosse. But, because growing up north, we didn't have it, and they still don't have it up there. At least at the school that I went to. And so going to these lacrosse games and realizing, this is so much more than just a prep school sport. This is intense. There's so much action, constant. And it was one of the most fun sports I've had to shoot yet. And so I shot a lot of lacrosse this spring. That's been fun. Basketball's a blast. The challenges that come with indoor sports, the lighting's never quite as good as outside, and so you're trying to get the grain in the image down and very sharp, and so those are fun challenges to deal with.
I thought that would have been opposite. Lighting would have been better in a gymnasium.
It depends on the gym. Shooting at Target Center, lighting there is pretty fantastic. Yeah. I think Buffalo's kind of middle of the road as far as lighting in the gym goes. Some gyms are just brutal. Sure. They've got, really fluorescent-y, just crappy overhead lighting, and it's brutal. Outside sports are almost always more fun for me to shoot just because, usually you're going to start when there's still a little bit daylight left, and so you're always getting that portion. And then once the lights turn on, it goes field to field to Buffalo's, I would say, middle of the road. Shot at Edina. Shot Eden Prairie the first game of the year.
Edina.
Did shoot at Edina for some lacrosse, but shot Eden Prairie earlier in the year, and their lighting was really great. It really does come down to place, but most gym lighting is a struggle.
Sure. Sure. You've also worked in professional sports. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. I've had an opportunity to shoot some Minnesota United soccer, or football, as they say. I don't
take football.
That's
European football. That's what I'm going to start calling it now.
European football, yeah. And that was an incredible experience. I'm not a big soccer guy myself, but the atmosphere at those games, it's electric. You've got the Wonder Wall, which is like their kind of like their student section. It's like their big fan base that's behind the goal, and they are chanting the entire game. And the lighting's incredible. The stadium's fantastic. Had the opportunity to shoot there a handful of times, and it's a really great environment and really fun to be able to shoot those high level athletes.
Lighting's pretty good, I would imagine.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Middle of the road.
Parking is brutal, but it's not bad.
What was that process like? Coming from a guy whose majority of the experience is at the high school level to convince them that, hey, like, I'm legit.
So most of those places, like, it's really hard to get credentials into professional sports because they don't want just any Joe Schmo that has a camera to be on the sideline for a security risk. For that one specifically, I'm shooting for an outlet that I was connected to from a friend. And so the really sports photography and that kind of industry in general really does come down to who you know, because really great sports photographers are kind of a dime a dozen. There's really a lot of them out there.
Randy Johnson,
Ken Griffey Jr., all these, renowned
and
sports photographers. And Luke Edlund, same level, basically.
Yeah, I get you guys mixed up.
Yeah, previous careers, it's all basically the same. I mean, it's really tough to get a hold of those credentials. You really just have to be shooting for a high-level publisher that's allowed in there.
Sure.
And so haven't had quite the chance in many of the pro areas yet. I'd love to shoot a Vikings game. I'd love to shoot a Twins game. But Minnesota United, that's been really fun to shoot.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I mean, when you start out producing a 2.5 million listener podcast, I mean,
2.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah, we're up. We 10x'd it.
Yeah.
We 10x'd it. The opportunities will come, and obviously, if there's anybody that is listening that maybe can link up with and hire out there, just increase that portfolio.
I can speak as somebody who has hired Luke to take pictures of my son, and he's done some other work for the BBA. And you have my permission to, if you want to splice those in. It is fun, and I don't want to set the bar too high, but you get those pictures turned around pretty quickly. And so it's fun to, you go to the park, you play your game, and then all of a sudden, boom, within 48 hours or 72 hours, you're getting 30, 40 pictures of what Luke shot. And so turnaround time's quick, quality is fantastic. So I would encourage anybody who has a child in sports to get in touch with Luke. It's something we'll cherish for forever.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, in the sports world, timing is so critical. I mean, you're talking like relevancy is so important. So if I shoot a game and I don't get the results out within 2 weeks, that game is way back in everyone's mind.
Sure.
Who cares about that game? We're on to the third, fourth, fifth, sixth game. Yeah. And so that's the kind of experience I'm going to take into even individuals where you might not need it within 24 hours, but I'm trying to get to you within 24 hours because I think that's just going to elevate the experience.
Yep. Absolutely.
Cool.
But for the Buffalo Community Podcast, I'm Tyler Reese.
I'm Mark Benzer.
Luke Edlund.
But we're interviewing for Edlund Media here, not the podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Buffalo Community Podcast, produced by Edlund Media. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube, as well as anywhere you listen to podcasts.